You're listening to Transform Your Life from the Inside Out podcast. If you're like most people, you've spent your entire lifetime thinking about your purpose. Why am I here? But I want to go deeper in this episode, and I'm wondering, have you ever asked yourself why you're even on this planet? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jim Fortin, and you're about to start transforming your life from the inside out with this podcast. I'm widely considered the leader in subconscious transformation, and I've coached super achievers all around the world for over 25 years. Here, you're going to find no rah-rah motivation and no hype, because this podcast is a combination of brain science, transformational psychology, and ancient wisdom all rolled into one to take your life to levels you've never thought possible. If you're wanting a lot more in life, to feel better, to heal, to have peace of mind, to feel powerful and alive, and to bring more abundance and prosperity into your life, then this podcast is for you, because you're going to start learning how to master your mind and evolve your consciousness. And when you do that, anything you want then becomes possible for you. I'm glad you're here. In this episode, I want to get you to start thinking from a higher level. And the question that I have for you is, have you ever asked yourself why, in the evolution of me, in the totality and the evolution of my cosmic essence, why am I on this planet? And what am I here to learn? Let me segue there for a second. It's a great deal of ignorance to believe that we are alone in the universe. We are one galaxy, which is massive. We're one galaxy of what I think 400 billion galaxies, and each galaxy has something like 400 billion stars, and that's only in this universe because scientists are now thinking that there's a multiverse, more than one universe. And there's a whole lot that I could say on this. Working with a shaman for a lot of years, I won't, but right now that is. But I want you to start thinking at a higher level. Why? Why this planet? And what am I here to do? How come I picked, of all the planets I could be on in the universes, why this one? I remember many years ago, my brother-in-law, the shaman, his what's called a benefactor, which means, in effect, a teacher, his benefactor said to me that when you leave this world, and I'm going to use this word here just colloquially, but when you leave this world, you will not be evaluated, which is the word that I meant colloquially. When you leave this world, you will not be evaluated for what you have acquired. You will be evaluated for the passion with which you lived and the extent to which you have grown while here. And if you look at our planet, most people live their lives, and I do not mean this seriously, I don't mean it in a judgmental way, because I believe we're all on a train going home. Some people are at the front of the train, some people are at the back of the train, but make no mistake, everyone is on the train. And every one of us, like for example, I don't think that a seventh grader is any better than a first grader. They're just at different places here in the United States. They're at different places and stages of their air quote education. And the same thing, we are at different levels and different places of our evolution here on this planet. Yet, this needs no defense when you look at the planet. Most human beings live their lives completely asleep and blind. Most people actually live their life in the context of the span of their life, meaning they think their entire life is, I was born on this, XYZ date, and whenever I leave, and we put these numbers on a tombstone for people that get buried, and they think that is their life, when in truth, that is just a small fraction of the totality of their literally being as a cosmic being. But most people only see their lives as the time that they are born and the time that they leave the planet. Most people use the word die, and I don't use that word a lot. I just say transition over. But most people see their entire life in the context of the day they're born and the day they leave. What I want to introduce in this episode is to not, and by the way, the fact that you're listening to this podcast, it means that you are into growth and development. But let me try to, and I'm going to kind of stammer through this a little bit. Let me see if I can get this ball across the plate. Is that most people look at their growth in terms of, well, how can I evolve what I call my 3D ego, the bag of skin that I walk around in? What things can I learn? How can I personally develop? How can I transform? And how can I grow? But where I'm looking at it in this podcast is that you are a cosmic being. I mean, where you were somewhere before you got to this planet, and you're going to leave this planet. That is a fact as well. You're going to leave this planet. So where were you before you got here, and where are you when you leave? So then let's look at it that way, and let's say that you landed on this planet. But the question is what did you land on the planet to learn, and the bigger picture of your cosmic beingness? So a question that I have for you is, and a question you can ask yourself is, how can I grow and evolve my beingness? Notice, I didn't say my humanness, but my beingness. Another question is, how can I grow and evolve beyond, and people call them bodies, I call them bags of skin. I mean, we all have a bag of skin or a body, but how can I grow and evolve beyond this bag of skin that I walk around in that I call me? Because you are not the bag of skin you walk around in. It's just a temporary, like a loaner car. And I've used that metaphor before. You go on vacation, you rent a car, you drive around, take the rental car, you drop it off, and you go home. And the same thing with this planet. You land on the planet, you hop in the rental car, you drive around for however many years that you're here, you drop the rental car off, and you go home. So the bigger question is why did you go? You went on vacation, you went to see something. Well, what did you see on that? Yeah, that's a great metaphor, by the way. Say, you go on vacation many times to see something. What did you see? How did what did you learn? How did you expand? How did you grow on that vacation? And the same thing here on this planet. From a bigger picture is, what did you see? What did you learn? What did you experience? And most specifically, how will you grow while you're here? And as I alluded to just a couple of minutes ago, that most, and I do mean most, and I want to be actually as objective as I can. You know what? Just like you, I'm in Earth School. I mean, if I wasn't in Earth School, I would not be here, and I would not be doing this podcast. So I am here for the things that I have to learn at a higher level, so that can assist me. And by the way, I'm stumbling a lot here because I've been with a shaman for a lot of years, and I'm trying to get this out of my brain into a microphone in a way that it makes sense to you, to get you to start thinking from a higher level. But I'm in Earth School also, and I'm learning my lessons while I'm here. But I also know, and I look at, how can I evolve and make myself the most powerful being? And I don't mean socially powerful, like political office or money or status or any of that. But how can I make myself and evolve into the most powerful being that I can be while I am here on this planet? I'm sure I'll do a podcast on it later, but I work from the concept of duality. And I'm sure every one of you have seen the Star of David. And that's sacred geometry. Basically, as above, so below, and so below, as above. So when I look at my life, I know that I'm not this bag of skin that I walk around in. I'm just, this is my rental car while I'm here. And I look at, how can I take the rental car and make it the very, 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 very best and most evolved rental car while I'm here, so that when I leave, I take those lessons with me into my further journeys and my further travels of my light being and my higher self. Okay, I want to bring this down now out of the ethers and cosmic self and everything else, and I want to bring this to a place that I can make very tangible for you. And if you were to look at your life from higher perspective, let's say, for example, you're going to come to this planet, you're going to hop in the body, and, before you get here, you're like, well, what am I going to learn there? And what's my purpose of going there? And why am I going to that place? What I've noticed about life, most people live for the experience, which I alluded to earlier, the experience of life and the context of the life. And what I've learned and observed over the years is that, speaking only for me, but I think it applies to all human beings, is we come to the planet for two reasons, and two reasons only. Is we come to serve and assist others that are in Earth School at this time and space with us. We come to assist and serve others, and we come to evolve and grow as a being. And if you take a step back and you look at that. What other possible reason is there to come here, or reasons? Is it to work at a corporation for 40 years and get a gold watch? Is it to own a big home or a Ferrari? Is it to build a university? Is it, what? When you really look, the only two reasons we come, and what even the things that I'd mentioned to some degree fall in these two reasons, we come to the planet to serve and assist, and we come to the planet to evolve and to grow. Now, a caveat here. These are the opportunities we have while we're here, yet we look around and many people do not take advantage of these opportunities. Many people do not evolve and they do not grow and they do not assist, actually quite the contrary. And that's a whole esoteric subject we can get into that we're not going to get into at this point because this would be like a 20-hour podcast. But to keep it simple, this is what I'm suggesting, is start looking at your life, not within the context of your life, but if you can even fathom, which I can't personally fathom, but I'm wanting you to start thinking in this direction, is if I thought about the big picture of my totality, my infinite cosmicness, well, then what can I bring to this planet? What can I learn on this planet so that I can actually take it with me in my light body and take it as a lesson that I evolve my eternal consciousness? By the way, I just made myself a note here. I want to make an interjection here, not about the podcast. Is on September the 4th, I'm going to be doing a live training. That's all I'm going to say right now, but the reason I tell you this early, and we're a few months away from that, is mark your calendar for September the 4th, because I'm going to be doing a live transformational training, and obviously I will give you the details on that later. I have a question for you. Where's your focus? After listening to the last 10 minutes of this podcast, you're probably shifting your focus, but a question is your focus on how much you can evolve and grow in your 3D being? When I say 3D, what I mean is third dimensional body and your perception and your awareness of the 3D world, which, by the way, we're actually as a species in the fifth and sixth dimension, whole nother podcast. But in the context of what you think your life is, are you living your entire life just for that life, or are you living so that you can come here, and the old phrase, it's in that poem in the Dead Poets Society movie, is suck the marrow out of life. But when I talk about sucking the marrow out of life, what I mean is savoring every bit of this experience while you're here and having the experience for the simple joy of having the experience and growing and evolving. And when I look at it from a different and higher perspective, you might have seen the movie before, Bucket List, with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. And the whole movie's about a bucket list, things that you want to do while you're in this lifetime. The perspective that I look at it from is, you know what, I'm a cosmic being, and one of the things on my bucket list was to come to the planet Earth. And, I know people don't think of it that way. They think of it just in the context of their time here. But coming here, I'm being presumptive, and I'm kidding here partially, but not kidding. Coming to the planet was on my bucket list as a cosmic being. And I'm going to say also, I don't know how long I'm going to be on the planet, but my objective is to evolve as much as I possibly can to bring the higher essence of who I am into this body so that I can serve more and I can be a guide for more people in this lifetime. Something else to ponder, and I know I said this in another podcast, and I'm not going to say a whole lot about it here. And I've noticed also that, I know that each podcast wants to be self-contained, and as I build and have more episodes, it may be a little more difficult to keep up. But I'm noticing that I am who I am, and there's just a thread that runs through all the podcasts, and that's the way that it is. So when I look at, because I said on another podcast, is that we cannot die. And that's even physics. I mean, your electrons, neutrons, and protons, and even Albert Einstein, the law of the conservation of energy, and the law of the conservation of matter, we cannot die. So I look at it this way. If I come to this planet and I live only in the context of my 3D body, meaning my name, Jim Fortin, and where I was born and all these things, if I live only in that context, I am missing out on so many opportunities to grow and evolve as a cosmic being. That's kind of like, for example, if you live in your 3D context, that's kind of like going somewhere to visit and you never leave the house. You go to some beautiful place and you stay in the house the whole time. Well, that's what to me it is when people come and they live their entire life just for them in the context of their life. It's like going on vacation, staying in the house, never leaving, and never seeing or never experiencing anything else wherever they're visiting. Just a couple of minutes ago, I did mention the Star of David and I mentioned duality. So, a question that I have for you is, are you living fully? Are you living fully as best you can? And we're all at different levels of understanding and observation and awareness and interpretation. But even energetically, we can intend for it. Are you living fully into the duality of who you are, and are you living from a place of higher service and higher value in life, or are you living just for what you think your 3D ego can get? And by the way, 3D ego again is like me. My 3D ego is Jim Fortin in the bag of skin that I walk around in, and this being that I think is me, which is not me, it's just a bag of skin. But when we live only for the 3D ego, we're living also from a very selfish and a very limited place. Something that I find interesting about doing this podcast and the feedback is that sometimes I think, you know what, that episode I could have said this differently, or I could have said that, or it could have landed differently, and it's okay. And I get feedback like, wow, that was an amazing episode. And then some of the episodes I've created, I'm like, this is like some of my best work, Jim. I'm proud of myself. And I hear crickets. So I'm going to be the first to say that I know that I've stumbled through this episode. There's so many things that I want to say, but I don't want to talk over anyone's head, meaning I've been with a shaman for 25 years, which is non-ordinary reality. And I think a lot of you get it, or you wouldn't be here, or you resonate, there's more. But there are some people, they're kind of like, what is this dude talking about? So I want to keep this episode to a place that at least everyone listening in some way can take something away. So what I'll do as a transformational takeaway would be this, is do you live to serve and make the world a better place from higher perspective of yourself, higher consciousness and higher being, or do you do it just for what you think that you can get right now in this lifetime? When you work from the luminous part of yourself, because see, we're not even human beings, we're luminous beings. We are light beings, we are energy. It doesn't also, a lot of New Agers actually get into, love and light. Well, actually the universe is also darkness. It's the yin and the yang. There is the light and the dark, but we all have the opportunity to live into the lightness. And as I'm sharing all this with you, a lot's going through my mind, and I can hear myself even as I'm doing this and saying this, God, Jim, you mangled this podcast. And maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I don't know. But what I want to share with you is, and I remember the morning that it hit me, is that, holy cow, I am only on this planet to evolve and to serve. Anything else really is just a distraction and something that I'm making up in my mind. So to keep this really simple and to keep it really cogent, is you here? For what other reason could you possibly be here except to evolve while you're on your cosmic journey? And whatever you need to learn on this particular planet, you're here to learn that if you choose to, and to serve. Okay, so I muddled through this entire episode, but my wish, my intention is that you take away at least the idea that maybe you can serve in a much higher capacity, create a lot more value on the planet, and you can evolve and grow in ways that you haven't even thought about yet. The next episode is a Q&A episode, and I'm going to answer Stacy's question. And by the way, thank all of you for submitting your questions. Right now, I've got more than I can possibly get to, but I go through them each week, and I pick ones that I think are going to resonate with the most amount of people. And who knows, I might get to yours. But again, thank you for sending them in, and I really appreciate that. So Stacy's question, and this is going to resonate, and this is why I picked this one. And there's a lot more to Stacy's story that I'll share with you on the next podcast. But the theme of her question is this. She says that Up and Down with Money is her money theme song. She goes up with money, she goes down with money, and that's her theme song, and she wants to know how to break that pattern. Many of you can relate to that. Now, Stacy does have a backstory that I'll share with you on next week's podcast, and I see a lot of you that have a very similar backstory. So make sure you tune in to the next episode if you want to hear my comments about how to break that cycle. Okay, thanks for listening. Stay well, and make it a great day. Thank you for listening to this entire podcast. If you're the kind of person who likes to help others, then share this with your friends and family. If you found value, they will too. So please share via your social media channels. Also, if you have questions, I'm here to assist. You can email me questions to support@jimfortin.com, and I may even use your question for a future podcast episode. Also, if you want transformational content like this daily, connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram name is I am Jim Fortin. Finally, I do have a personal request. I believe that we're all here to help others and to grow and evolve ourselves. Together, you and I, let's help more people. If you would please leave a review on iTunes, and a good one, by the way. I'd be grateful, and through your assistance together, we can transform more lives. Thanks for listening.